Good evening, Drew.
Hey, Paul, how we doing?
Oh, not too shabby. How about yourself?
Oh, boy, it has been a day in the Fergewell household.
Oh no.
Yeah. So, we uh we had a situation this week with our washing machine.
That's not a good situation to have.
No, it's not a good situation to have. And I'll cut right to the chase. I basically went and bought another washing machine. Like, man, it sucks, but it doesn't. Like, I actually did laundry today and I enjoyed it because, I just
Nice. Yeah.
went and bought a washing machine. So here's what happened. I had to go to Texas this week, and at some point during my trip, our washing machine started acting up. So we had a matching set of LG front loader washer dryers, and we've had them now for, I don't know, like 3 years, not that long. And what was happening is the washer was basically saying it was unlevel like every 2 minutes. So you would
Oh.
like I'm sure you've had that happen where like you're washing like a heavy blanket or a comforter and it gets wet and it gets like kind of balled up in there and it forces it to get unaligned. And the washing machine, because it's smart and it has computers in it, is like, hey, this is like not level and I don't want to run because I might damage my big spinny part. So I can appreciate where it's coming from with that sentiment. The problem is like there must have been something wrong with the sensor or something in the washer to where it just constantly thought it wasn't in alignment. So like every 2 minutes you would hear the wow, wow, wow from the machine basically saying that it was out of alignment. And we'd have to like constantly start the washer up. And it just got to a point where it was like, we have this fancy washer. It's a front loader. It constantly stinks because you have to keep wiping the rubber gasket in there.
Yep.
Yeah, it and you've seen my house. Like, my laundry room is in, like, that big, long hallway that kind of bisects my house, and it's in that little cupboard. So, it's like, everybody on Twitter is just like, just let it air out. And I'm like, well, I can't keep the door open all the time because it's in a closet. So, probably not the best situation for me. So it was one of those situations where, obviously, like, I could keep hitting that button every 2 minutes, but that is really annoying. So, I just said, screw it. Drove to a big box appliance store, said, I need an upright washer, and I need it like tomorrow. And, if you're not looking for all the frills that you'll never use, because my washer that I had a bunch of like features and things in it, but I never use them. Like warm, hot, and cold. And that's about it, right? Like those are the settings I need.
Yeah.
So we ended up with a nice upright Whirlpool washer. It was on sale. The store I bought it from was running a pretty decent sale. So I got it for about $600, and it's great, and it is upright, and it works, and it doesn't have a lot of crazy features like hit a button, select the load size, and you're good to go. And that is what's going on in my house. What's going on in your house?
Well, we're getting ready for some, maybe some ice. So we're trying to figure out how we're going to handle if the school's closed tomorrow. And
oh, right. So,
yeah.
So I went outside to bring my car back in the garage because I had to have it out of the garage for the aforementioned washing machine delivery, and definitely was hearing some ice hitting windows. So, is it pretty bad down by you, or?
It's getting there. It's getting there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then the other question is, tomorrow is supposed to be my daughter's school's annual father-daughter dance, and we're not sure whether if school is canceled, whether they'll still have the dance or not, or whether it will be postponed. Fun fact: the dance 2 years ago with my daughter marks the last time I got my hair cut. So,
wow, it sounds like you are just awash in emotions then.
Yeah.
So you, if I seem to recall, the daddy-daughter dance is kind of a big deal in your house, right?
Yeah, it's fun. Though, as she's gotten older and wants to spend more time with her friends, it's like, okay, we go in there, we get some snacks together, we get our picture taken together, and then she finds her friends in the gymnasium where they're playing the music and dancing, and she wants nothing to do with me at that point. I mostly get to stand in the back with all the other dads and watch her shoes. So, but it's fun. I get some cute pictures, and yeah, I mean, it's true because there is a point where they all take their shoes off because they're all wearing, fancy shoes with little heels and stuff, and they take them off, and you're like, yep, I'm standing with other dads watching shoes. It's yeah, but it's fun. It's fun. I have a good time.
Now they take their shoes off just because their feet start to hurt after a little bit, and they just want to jump around a little bit.
Exactly. Okay. Yep. Exactly. Yep.
So, okay. So I have a bit of an Ohio rant here for a second.
Okay.
One of the things, there were a lot of things that really surprised me when I moved from Pennsylvania to Ohio, but I think the one that really kind of still sticks in my craw a little bit is you guys have 2 homecomings.
See, when I was in high school, we didn't. We had one. We had one.
All right. Yeah, we had one homecoming. We had one homecoming. It was football, and then we had the winter social, like a winter dance, which I don't know if that's what they're calling second homecoming now.
Yeah, I think so. And our homecoming was not like a fancy thing. It was just teenagers, swaying awkwardly in the gym. I mean, you would dress up, but there was no fancy, it wasn't like prom where I see now, and homecoming's almost like mini prom. It's
right.
At least around here it is. It's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, that is something I've noticed as well. Is that at least in all the places that I travel on Saturday nights when they're all out, it seems to be a pretty formal occasion, and it's pretty crazy. Like our homecoming was pretty low key, right? It was a dance at the school. Yep. Occasionally, the rich kids would have some khakis on, but everybody else wore jeans and a shirt.
Yeah,
usually a button-down shirt, but it wasn't anything fancy.
Yeah, ours was the same way. Yeah, very very low key.
Now, were you a big school dance person when you were in school?
I mean, I went to some, if not most. I mean, I wasn't the most popular kid and didn't run with the most popular, circle, but I still had friends and we still hung out and did stuff, and there was enough of my friends who really wanted to go to dances, so that's what we did. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you?
No, I was same energy. Definitely not one of the more popular kids. I went to prom in my school, right? Prom in my school was basically put on by the junior class. So you had to be an upperclassman to buy a ticket to prom. Now, you could invite an underclassman. So, if you were dating somebody or you wanted to take somebody that was an underclassman, they could go. But you had to be a junior or a senior to buy a ticket to prom. And I went my senior year and I took a junior because some of the circles that I semi-traveled in, there was a friend that really wanted to go and needed a date. And they were like, hey, you look like you're not going to go, so why don't you buy a ticket and take her? So that's kind of how I got to go to prom. But no, I never went to the winter dances. I never went to homecoming or anything like that. I went to dances in middle school, but I never went to any dances when I was in high school. I don't know. And the other thing too was I started working when I was a junior in high school, so I worked a lot. And those dances were always on Friday nights, and I just was I'll work.
Got it.
Yeah. But it's kind of alarming to me that there's so many homecoming in the state of Ohio. I bring that up all the time to my significant other, and she's like, "No, you're the crazy one," and I'm like, "All right, well, it's not how I remember it."
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you, Drew. We didn't have more than one homecoming, and our homecoming was very, very, very basic. Where I grew up, the fine city of Louisville, Ohio. So,
Louisville, Ohio. Now, is that near Columbus? I don't know where that is.
No, it's near Canton, Ohio.
Near Canton, Ohio. Okay.
So if you say Pro Football Hall of Fame, then people go, "Oh, Canton." Yeah.
Okay.
It's about 3.5 hours from Columbus. So,
Okay, so northeastern Ohio, is that right?
yes, yep.
Okay,
yep.
all right.
Yep.
Yeah.
71 to 30 to 30 to 30 to 30.
So you grew up relatively close to Pennsylvania then?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Because that's where because having been from Pennsylvania myself, right? Like, I kind of get it.
Okay, yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So daddy-daughter dance tomorrow. TBD.
TBD.
Now,
yes.
Now, does your daughter go all out? Like, does she get a new dress for the occasion, new shoes? Like, is she pretty hyped about it, or?
She gets real excited. I don't think she has a new dress yet. No, she has not bought a new dress this year. She has in the past, but she has a very fancy dress that she's all excited to wear. And I get her a corsage, and I put on a tie, and yeah.
Oh, a tie, you say?
Yeah, this is like the one time a year I wear a tie. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, I as much as I know how much the kids and your wife would probably appreciate a snow day, because let's face it, there hasn't been any yet.
That's true.
Yeah,
We've had some 2-hour delays, but yeah.
Yeah, there's been some 2-hour delays at our house too, and it had nothing to do with like the temperature. It was just because it was really foggy. But as far as I know, as far as I know, there hasn't been any like cold weather related snow days here.
Yeah, I have a funny feeling this is going to be the day though, so we'll see.
Okay,
we actually had school canceled because of fog recently. Yeah.
Well,
they tried a 2-hour delay and it didn't lift, so they're like, nope, can't do it.
Yeah, and if I understand that correctly, it's because like once you get out of like the Columbus metroplex and you're in a district like where your kids go, where your wife teaches, like where we're a different district where my wife teaches, like out in the country there where you're standing out on a road near a field, like fog's pretty dangerous if you're at the bus stop. So I get it.
Yeah, we have a lot of like very busy, no sidewalk roads, lots of rural, lots of farms. Yeah, I mean, I get it too. Like, you don't want those kids walking to the bus stop and getting hurt or.
Nope, no, you do not.
Not at all. No, that's a lawsuit.
Yeah, at best. At best.
That's a paddling. Sorry.
Yeah.
Simpsons reference. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. That's okay. Chuckles. I'm in danger.
Yeah.
So, switching gears here for a second, I recently resubscribed to HBO Go.
Oh, okay.
And the reason I did this is I had heard that the Watchmen series on HBO was definitely worth watching. Now, if you had joined us earlier in the podcast, you know that that the last time I used a free trial for HBO Go was for the show Chernobyl, and you can go back and listen to my thoughts on that because I really enjoyed it. I had heard really good things about the Watchmen series on HBO, and I finished it up last night, and I'm here to tell you it was phenomenal.
Was it? Yeah.
Yes.
I've been thinking of doing the exact same thing just for that show.
So let me talk about it a little bit here.
Okay.
So for those of you that aren't familiar with it, Watchmen was a comic that was published in 1986, I think.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, and it was like in 2 volumes. But like if you really want to get this comic, and again, if you've been a listener of ours for a while now, you know that I am not a comic book person. Like the only graphic novels I own in the house are my Battle Angel Alita set, Scott Pilgrim, and Watchmen. And Watchmen is really interesting because it is not your typical superhero comic. It's there's a little bit of anti-heroism in it, and it is a interesting take on comic books and superheroes. It's a very dark kind of story, but it's very, very well done. It takes place in an alternate universe where Richard Nixon is president forever.
Just about, yeah.
Yeah. And, if you're looking for something to read and you've never read it, you can pick up a copy relatively cheaply. If you have a passing interest in, like, superheroes or you're a fan of, like, the Marvel stuff, Watchmen's a pretty interesting take on superhero stuff. I'm assuming you've read it, Paul.
I have. I'm actually in the process of rereading it with the intention of when I'm done is I will subscribe to HBO Go and watch the show. If you've seen the movie, The movie and the comic end very differently.
Yes, I did not like the movie.
Yeah, I think the movie was fine. I didn't hate it as much as anyone else, but I think the comics are much better.
Yes, the comics are much better. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. The Watchmen was really, I think, one of the first comics to really kind of tackle what having, well, they weren't really superheroes, but like
vigilantes.
Vigilantes and
tackling the idea of vigilantism.
Yeah, and how that would impact the world, and kind of a commentary on comics, because really, like, if you think about it, all like most of your costume superhero films are really just like they're kind of just like police fantasies, right? They're just overpowered cops at the end of the day, right? They're saving the day, they're stopping bad guys. So Watchmen was really kind of a take on that, and it really kind of inspired this dark, gritty realism in comic books that still, in a lot of series, kind of is still going on to today. So a lot of the people making comics now were people who were reading The Watchmen when they were kids or young adults. So that influence still rings on, and I'm about halfway through it on my maybe third or fourth rereading, maybe fifth, and it still holds up. Like,
it does.
It's a really good story. Yeah.
My last read through of it was about 2 years ago, and I'm like getting ready to take my copy off the shelf and read it again. Now, I had read through the book, or through the comic, or the graphic novel, because it is pretty lengthy. I mean, it's several hundred pages. It's really good though. It's not, for the time that it was drawn, I think it's drawn very well.
Yeah.
And again, the story is really, really good. The characters are very, very unforgettable, each one of them. And again, it's about vigilantism. There's only one character in the series that actually has superpowers, and they go into kind of what it means to have superpowers a little bit. But anyway, so all of this is to say that HBO did a miniseries that kind of continues on the story from Watchmen, the book, or the comic book. It takes place in 2019. And while you don't you absolutely do not have to read the graphic novel to appreciate this series. They hit kind of the high points of the book that you kind of need to know, that kind of establishes some of the characters that make a reappearance. They totally revisit that, right? Not in the greatest detail that you're going to get in the book. There's a couple characters that if you haven't read the book, you might be like, well, I don't really understand who this is. But they do a good enough job, okay? And I loved the series because just like in the original Watchmen, they basically present you with a scene with just completely out of context. You have no idea what this scene is about until later on. And it's very, very well done. The special effects and the sci-fi aspect of it are really amazing. If you watch the first episode and you're like, I don't get it, just please stick with it, because they do eventually explain everything. If I had any criticism of the series, it gets a little fast-paced in the last episode to kind of catch things up, because they basically build up in the first 6 or 7, I think there's 8 episodes. They basically just are this kind of the slow crescendo up to this final episode, and it is so good. And I really, really enjoyed it. It ends phenomenally. I'm hoping they do a second season, but I won't be surprised if they don't.
Yeah, I've heard they're not.
Yeah. The way it ends, put it this way, the way it ends is a pretty good way to go out if they're not going to do a second season. I thought it was very, very good. Again, there's some recurring characters that come back, but it becomes very apparent who they are.
Okay.
It's got Jeremy Irons in it, and I think I've liked every single thing I've ever seen Jeremy Irons in. And yeah, I don't want to go too much into it, because there's some spoilery stuff in there. But it gets a solid recommendation for me. And again, this is somebody who adores the comic and is not a comic book person, as I've established. it's just really, really good. I really, really enjoy it. It tells a good story.
Yeah, I am going to plan on watching it, and when I do, I don't know, maybe we can get a little spoilery and talk about it in detail at some point.
I'm really interested to get your opinion on it. So it's actually a reminder on my calendar to cancel HBO Go when we're done with the podcast tonight. my free trial ends like tonight, I think. So
got it.
I had to, and of course I rewatched Chernobyl, and I'm really interested to see the new McMillions series that is coming on HBO. Have you seen the advertisements for that?
I don't think I have.
They're doing a docuseries on. Do you remember the Monopoly game for McDonald's?
Yes.
And
yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
And you know how that was like a giant scam?
Yeah. Like most things.
They're doing a documentary on like how the people kind of there was like inside people that basically were able to tell people like how to win, and they're doing like a documentary on that.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's a pretty well publicized thing. Like if you were to go online and read the story and know who the players are, it's really fascinating how they got it all to work. And of course, the only reason they got caught is because they got super greedy. Like had they not gotten as greedy as they did, they would have completely gotten away with it. Like, yeah, pretty good story. I was tempted to just hang on to my subscription just a little bit longer to watch that, but that's really expensive.
Yeah, it's like what, $15 a month.
Yeah, something like that. I'd rather have Apple TV and catch up on some of those series like First Man or not. What was it? For All Mankind. I really want to watch that.
Yeah, and there's a new Apple TV series that I'm. What is it called? Mythic Quest.
Tell me about that.
Have you seen this? So it's got what's his face from Always Sunny, and it's basically about a video game studio making a video game, but it looks like very much like a comedy. I think it's actually like some of the early reviews sound like it's pretty good, and Apple's pushing it pretty hard. So I think that comes out. It comes out tomorrow. So
on which service?
Apple TV Plus.
Okay.
Yep. So that'd be the second show I want to watch on Apple TV Plus.
Now because it has people from Always Sunny involved, I'm assuming it's a comedy of some kind?
Yeah, it is a comedy. Yeah. I'll put the Mythic Quest trailer. I'll put that in the show notes.
Okay.
If I can find it.
And that's on Apple TV, right?
It's an Apple TV. Yep, here we go.
Okay. Do you still subscribe to that then?
Yeah, I'm still on my free year, so.
Oh, that's right.
But I am looking for. I think I will keep it simply because I kind of want to see where All Mankind goes, because I really enjoyed the end of that show. So.
And they're making more, or.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Huh.
Indeed.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, from what it looks like. I mean, I don't know for sure, but it looks like every season is kind of jumping forward in time a little bit. So it looks like the next season takes place in the 80s. So that'll be interesting to see where they go with that.
Yeah, I would. I would definitely like to subscribe to Apple TV and try to watch that show, because I've definitely heard good things.
Yeah, so far I've really enjoyed the first season. Yeah, indeed.
All right.
Television.
All right. So yeah, enough TV talk. Tell me about your new mouse.
Oh yeah. Okay. So I bought a new mouse. And how this whole thing...
No. No. I just clicked on the picture of this. Not you too, Paul.
Okay. So I have been rocking at home. I've been using the Apple Magic Mouse. And I've always had kind of a love-hate relationship with that mouse. It's a little too small for my hands. I kind of find it uncomfortable to move. And at work... I have been using the Logitech Vertical Master Vertical. I'll put a link in the show notes. I was having some wrist pain and I wanted to try this out. It's the Logitech mouse where you hold it like you're shaking someone's hand. So those have been the two mice I've been rocking for a while. I had an old original Logitech MX Master, and one day the Apple mouse just giving me fits, and I broke out the old Logitech MX Master for home, and I kind of fell in love with it all over again. I really like the shape. I like the buttons. I like the scroll wheel. So I thought to myself, I said, you know what, Paul, you're sitting at a really crappy desk. Work's been a little stressful. It's time for you to get a treat. So I decided to buy the relatively new MX Master 3. And I mean, yeah, it is a chunky boy. It is a big mouse. It's designed that your hand almost kind of cups over it and rests on it. But man, it is really, really nice.
All right. All right, Paul. All right.
It's so nice. I'm considering buying a second one for home.
All right. So, okay. Now, I'm not here to tell you that you're a bad person. I'm not here to tell you that you made a bad decision, because you should do what makes you happy. However, how anybody can use these giant cheese wedges of a mouse is beyond me. So sell it to me. What aside from the hand feel, right? Because of the wrist thing I get. Yep. Tell me what this mouse does that sets it apart from something that would be, say, half the cost.
Okay, so for I do like the size. I've always liked bigger mice. They fit my hand. My hand can be very relaxed when I'm holding them. So that's why I've always looked at this category of big mice. But this particular mouse, so if you scroll down to where like the purchase is, you can pick two colors, right? You can pick graphite or mid-gray. So I have purchased the mid-gray, which is a very lighter mouse. I'm kind of concerned about it getting covered with human, but that's another problem. So I find it it's almost kind of a silvery color in real life. So I find the materials, the look of it, to be very beautiful. It is extremely high quality materials. The silvery parts are very hard plastic. The rest of it is kind of that new soft rubbery plastic where it's it's solid, but it kind of has a soft feel to it. It is extremely well made. The materials are very, very nice. One of the things I really like about it is the main scroll wheel in the middle has a very, it's very nice as you're scrolling it. It's got a very nice click to it. But if you give it a nice little flick, it basically, the flywheel kind of engages or disengages, and it spins extremely fast. So you can really scroll through web pages very, very quickly with a little flick of your finger. It's very easy to stop. It's not too heavy of a scroll wheel, so you can put your finger on it and stop. This mouse has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 buttons. So it's got the two regular mouse buttons, the scroll wheel, which you can click. It's got a horizontal scroll wheel on the side, which if you've ever done anything in the Azure portal, you need. God dang that. They like their scrolling to the right on there. It doesn't have that same kind of click, but it's a very nice flywheel. And where they put the buttons underneath there for like your forward and back is I find them to be actually right in a spot where I'm not resting my thumb on them, but they're close enough that I actually use them. So that's been a nice little change of pace for me. And then there is a button. So the mouse has a little wing where you rest your thumb, and that wing can also be a button if you push down. And the MX Master, the original one, has this feature as well. It's a feature of the software. The Logitech option software, which isn't horrible. It's a perfectly fine piece of software. And if you press down on that little wing, and you can use it to basically change virtual desktops. So I use what do they call them? Spaces now on Mac OS. So I use lots of different virtual desktops. That's nice for switching between them. It also can bring up Expose where you see all of your open windows. So that is really handy to be able to just do that real quick without having to go to the keyboard. If my hand happens to be on my mouse. It's and it charges via USB-C, which hits me right where I live. So yeah, I've had it for about a week now, maybe, and I am pleased as punch.
So you've been packing it up and taking it with you everywhere, like packing it in the bag?
No, I'm leaving it there. I've been using my original MX at home.
Okay.
Which is about the same shape, but it's, this one's getting old. Like it's a little bit worn. It has a lot of the same features, but it's just not as nice. Where they really improved the build quality and the materials for the MX Master 3. So I'm considering. I mean, they're not cheap. They're not cheap.
No.
No. I'm thinking about buying another one for home because I like it so much, but I probably won't. But it's a really nice mouse.
Okay. Well, again, I believe you have to do what makes you happy. So I was while you were talking, I was definitely listening to you. I was scrolling through. I was scrolling through the marketing material here, and something caught my eye. Multiple computers, one MX Master 3. Seamlessly control multiple computers with your MX Master 3 and effortlessly transfer text, images, and files. Like, does it have like built-in USB storage or something? Like, tell me about this.
No, I don't use this because I only have the one computer. But it's a feature of their Logitech option software called Flow. So if you have it installed, so say like you have I guess the example they give here is they have a Apple iMac, and then you have like a Surface Book beside it, so running Windows. And there's been other software that kind of does this kind of thing as well in the past. But the gimmick here is if you have those two different computers side by side, you can set it up that if you move the mouse off of, the right edge of your monitor, it would show up on the left edge of your other computer and just seamlessly start controlling that computer. Now, to really get the full effect, I think you also need a Logitech Master keyboard for it to switch over to the new computer as well. And I guess it allows you to copy files back and forth. I'm guessing probably just uses, like the cloud or some other like peer wireless technology. It's not a feature that I have any need for. Because I only have one computer, and well, that's really it. I only have one computer. Okay. So that's not for me. But I think if you were in that situation, it's a nice feature. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I just use OneDrive, but I really like the look of. I really look the look of the graphite, and that's the one you got. You got graphite.
Yeah. I have the mid gray.
Mid gray. That's what I mean.
The lighter.
Sorry.
You have the lighter. That's the one I have.
I do like the look of that.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna change gears here in a minute. I guess I would be curious. Like, does it come with a little case or anything for carrying it around? Like, if you were gonna take it mobile?
No, it does not. It comes with a USB-C cable and one of those Logitech unifying receiver nubbins, which I'm not using. I use it as Bluetooth because I don't need any more dongles in my life.
I get that. So, So changing gears real quick, and the reason why I bring that up is I now have a few trips under my belt for work with my Tom bin bag, and man, that is a good bag.
Yep.
Yeah, I now have driven someplace and commuted around a city with it, and I have taken it on airplanes and traveled with it in Ubers and gone to and from client sites and customer sites, and yeah, it is phenomenal. And I have a cache for my laptop, and I have a 15-inch MacBook Pro, but I have that little clamshell on it, so it's a bit of a tight fit. I don't get to zip it up all the way all the time, but it definitely secures the laptop in my bag. And I just think that it is a solid investment. I'm glad that I got one for Christmas, and that was a really solid recommendation on your part. And I say that because if I ever were going to get a mouse other than the Magic Mouse, I would probably get this. Because the whole reason I stick with the Magic Mouse is I just love the gesture controls for my virtual desktop. And I love that the mouse is rechargeable with, again, Lightning cable, I think, for the Magic Mouse. But I love that it's relatively small and I can throw it in my bag. I don't know. I just really like my Magic Mouse. But if I were going to change, I would probably give this a shot. So I'm gonna keep an eye on this.
I'm gonna drop a link into the show notes right here. I found this on Amazon. It is the hard travel case for Logitech MX Master 3/Master 2S Advanced Wireless Mouse, black case. You can get it in black or a nice gray looking color for a few dollars more. Amazon Prime, free standard delivery. It's a nice little hard case.
Okay, so questions. One, when I go to this awesome SEO optimized link that you sent me, do they make a blue one?
I don't. I think that was the previous model. The Master 2 came in blue. Yeah, they've been iterating on this design, and it's basically the same shape. They just make some minor improvements, and apparently this case is compatible with both.
Got it.
But the MX Master 2 has the blue.
And then also, looking at the side of the mouse, is that like ribbed for my pleasure, or like what is happening on the side of the mouse?
So the picture on that link, so that is where the original placement of the side buttons are. So there's kind of like the scroll wheel on the thumb, and then it is the top and bottom, like the back and forward button right beside it. And I do not like the placement of those. But on the new 3, they've moved them underneath the scroll wheel, and I think they're much more pleasing.
Right. But I was talking more about that textured pattern that kind of flows down the side there.
Yeah, it's just a nice little texture. Yeah, for you to rest your thumb on. Okay. I don't know, it's just for grippiness. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, while we're here, because this came up the other day in the discussion of keyboards, what brand of keyboard do you have at work?
I am using a it's a Code keyboard. Yeah, so it's at codekeyboard.com. It is it's manufactured by the fine folks at WASD Keyboards. But where the big differences the Code has over the regular WASD keyboards is this one is backlit. And it has a steel plate on the bottom, so it gives it a nice little heft, so it doesn't doesn't move around too much. Mine is 10 keyless, so I just have the 102 key. I'd have to look it up, and of course I use it in a 87. Yeah, 87. You're right. Yeah, 87. It's got a really nice font on it. It's very legible. I think it's Helvetica. And, of course, I use it in a Mac layout because I'm not a monster. And one of the things I really like about the WSAD keyboards is it has a series of dip switches. So, like, if you want to put it in, Dvorak, that's a dip switch. If you want to change the layout from Windows to Mac, that's another dip switch. So that's why I like it, because it's you're not just flopping the keys, you're actually making the keyboard behave differently. And I have, I think my switches, to get really nerdy, are Cherry MX Clears, which is you don't see a lot of those, but I like it's a nice clicky feel, but it doesn't have that, doesn't have that loud click of like a cherry blue or green. And they're a little stiffer switch, so it's a little bit more resistance, and I just find it very pleasant to type with. Now, what are you rocking these days?
On my work computer, I just use the Apple Magic Keyboard because I love the clickiness of those keys. Like the travel is just perfect for coding. Downstairs on the gaming PC, I've just got some, garbage Corsair, quote unquote gamer, keyboard with mechanical switches. I've toyed with the idea of upgrading my computer, my work computer's keyboard for a while now. Is your keyboard wireless or is it wired?
It's wired.
Okay.
Yeah, I think they haven't. Yeah, even the new ones are wired. Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking here. Case color, black or white. What is the case color?
I have a black, so I don't have the most recent version. They have a kind of about a year ago they did a minor revision where they switched to USB-C and then added the white color. As someone who at one point thought, hey, white keycaps would be really cool, I had a keyboard. I had a DOS keyboard before this one, and I put white keycaps on it. And anybody who uses a white keyboard, like, I don't know, it's a fool. They're a fool because humans are gross and they will not be white forever. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. 100% agree with you there, dog.
Yeah.
I definitely won't do that. But like when I go to the buy page, right, I click on the code V387 key mechanical keyboard. You said the Mac layout is just a dip switch, right? Like that's not a separate purchase, is it?
Not a separate purchase. What you would literally do is there's dip switches on the back. You flip it, you swap out the keys. You kind of just, lift really and just move the command and alt key to the correct place, and then it just works. Yeah.
Okay. But what's interesting is like when I go to that, it says case color, black or white. But like the white keyboard was like a different choice. I don't really understand.
Yeah, well, but I think you can get
case.
Yeah, so that is all white. I think if you switched, you would have black keys with a white case.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Gotcha.
But I don't know. I would just go with the all black because again, it's something you touch constantly, and yeah. Now
right.
I have played I took a picture of the serial number. There is this company. I wonder if I can find it. They make there are mechanical switches, but they have less travel to them, so they are thinner.
Okay.
Let's see.
Well, I noticed that there's some like Cherry MX greens, and then there's Zelio 67 gram switches, whatever the hell that means.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. Yeah, I've always kind of stuck to the cherries because I've. Yeah, let's see if I can find. Oh,
yeah,
that's a
and
60%.
these are definitely not cheap. Like you're going to be in for $175.
Yeah, I mean, but they are built like a tank. As someone who spends or spent hashtag middle management a lot of time with their fingers on a keyboard going to town, I really like the weight of the Code keyboard because it's got that nice steel plate on the bottom. That gives it a real heft, and another kind of feature that I really like is, it is backlit, but the interior, edge where like the light is kind of reflecting off of, they make that white. So, the light isn't kind of subdued. It gets a real nice kind of glow to it. It's just one of those little nice touches that they put into this keyboard. And okay. I think it was designed. Hold on, let me. Some like super nerd helped design this keyboard. I wish I could find. Yeah, super nerd. I wish it would tell me. There it is. Jeff Atwood from the site
Coding Horror on Twitter. Yeah.
Yeah. So this was the keyboard he designed. And it's it's one of those cases where I liked it so much I actually bought two, so I have one at work and one at home, so I have the same keyboard.
Okay.
And it is it's really, really nice. I really like it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll be in the market soon. I've got some other things I got to pay for first, like a new washing machine, but I will probably be in the market here sooner than. Yeah. How is work? How's your new desk?
It's awful. It's awful. It's awful. Yeah, it hasn't gotten any better. It's worse. And it's actually kind of funny because a couple of the people that listen to the podcast also sit in these particular cubes that I not even cubes, desks, tables.
And they've heard your feedback
at work, and they heard it, and they're like, "Wow, like it's like listening to what I was going through like a year ago."
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Work, am I right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I wouldn't go if they didn't pay me, but
well, same. But I don't even have that excuse because I really don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Well, so follow up for me. New computer is put together.
Oh, spectacular! Is everything working fine?
Everything was working good. My temperature
was
well, no R
okay,
because I'm
okay,
recording
good.
on it right now.
Ooh,
So
spectacular!
so it turned out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. But I think I screwed up some of the in and out ports on my CPU block. Because the instructions for this stuff are not great. And what I thought was like the output of one of the like ports on the water block is actually the in port, so it's like backwards. So I think that I'm like having slightly degraded cooling. Like it's not anything to write home about, right? Like my computer CPU temperature has yet to go beyond 65 Celsius, which is like pretty amazing considering it's now I'm running the hold on, how many cores do I have now? Hold on. Now that I'm rocking now that I'm rocking 16 cores with 32 threads, like the fact that when I'm running at 100%, like it doesn't go above 65C while playing a game while my graphics card is also heating the loop. Yeah, it's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with the performance of it. The only thing that drives me a little bit crazy, and knowing me, it'll drive me crazy to the point where I'll need to like take it apart here one of these days, is the pump in this particular setup is not underpowered, but not as powerful as the last pump I had. And at first I thought there was just some air trapped in there somewhere, but it sounds like the pump clicks a little bit when it's running at high RPMs. Which right now isn't doing it because, I'm just recording and, even though I have Chrome open, like it doesn't, my computer's not struggling. You know what I mean? So because because whenever you're like down the rabbit hole of custom water cooling, like the idea of fan and pump curves are like something that that's part of your life now. So like adjusting different thresholds for temperatures and RPMs of your fans, like that's just kind of like what you're getting into when you do this. No, but it's good.
Awful.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. It's running. It's performing very well. It's stable. I only spilled coolant over like my old components when I took apart the other loop. Like everything's fine. Nothing broke. Oh, it was a disaster. So I tried to drain the old loop and I did it. But there was still some fluid like trapped in some of the radiators and some of the other pipes. And I was like, I'm going to be really clever about this and take this apart. Well, guess what? That didn't happen. And then like orange liquid was like all over my workbench, all over my floor.
Oh no.
Yeah. And like I didn't drip anything on anything critical, but I had to definitely like hose out my case. And this stuff is like water not soluble, but like no, it's like if I hit it with some water, it cleans up nice. So anyway, everything's up and running. I'll send you a picture. I'll post a picture on Twitter. It's not as elegant as the hardline tube builds because the flexible tube, is just kind of hangs there. But I did it kind of.
You don't get those 90 sharp angles.
Right. And like I did it pretty tastefully where like I ran because like the case I'm using is much wider. I think I mentioned that last episode where like all of the tubes are like obscured from vision except for like two of them, and that's the ones that go to the graphics card.
Okay.
So yeah, all in all, pretty good. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. So, yeah, it's going pretty cool. There's a little like flow indicator on the front of my case now that shows like how the liquid is flowing, and then I also put like a temperature probe in the liquid so like I could measure how hot the liquid gets. And yeah, if you're a hardcore nerd for this stuff like me, like it's pretty sweet. So again, I'm pretty happy.
So what was the first game that you played on it to really kick in the tires and see how well it was going, how well it was performing?
Call of Duty. Yeah, I'm still playing the hell out of Call of Duty. Yeah, me and my buddy Arthur, we're playing the heck out of Call of Duty. Thank you. We playing. I probably wouldn't play that game if I wasn't playing it with a friend because it can get pretty shitty if you're playing it by yourself. But the fact like we'll boot it up, we'll play for a couple hours and just kind of mindlessly shoot stuff, and we win more than we lose, and we play pretty well. And there's like challenges and like missions you can do in that to unlock like cosmetic stuff, and we've been doing that, and it's fine. Once some new games hit, I'm sure we'll change that up and we'll do something different. I noticed that today some new games dropped for Xbox Live Game Pass. Looks like Wolfenstein Youngblood is on there now, which I have yet to play, so I'm anxious to try that.
I haven't played it either. Yeah.
So if you have an Xbox Game Pass, it's available on your Xbox or on your PC. I'm told that game is designed to be played co-op, so you almost want to play it with somebody because I guess the AI is not super great. So
got it.
Yeah, but I'm gonna probably give that a spin. But yeah, like I said, I definitely have learned a lot in my computer build and liquid cooling process, and it's fun. It's stressful, but it's also pretty fun. So, last thing to kind of tie off the show, and only because I want to flex a little bit is I have been having to write Azure Functions pretty regularly now, and I've kind of fallen in love with them, if I'm honest.
Okay. Now, why don't you explain to our listeners what an Azure Function is?
Yeah, so Azure Functions are basically it's what you would call serverless in Azure, right? It is a thing that you write. You can write it in different languages. You can write it in .NET Framework. You can write it in .NET Core. You can write it in Python. You can also spin up a container and deploy it to an Azure function. And most of them are just like HTTP triggers. So like you hit it like you would like a RESTful API call, and it does something. And what's interesting is if there's something that you can't do in Azure kind of out of the box, Azure Functions are kind of how you plug that hole. To give you an example of this is I've been working with something where I've had to basically work with a bunch of Excel files. And working with Excel files programmatically is kind of awful.
True.
But converting them from one format to another, I was able to basically write an Azure function that does that. And I did it with Python, and I was able to get it deployed and lock it down and secure it and kind of help a customer through a particular pain point. And I've written .NET Core functions as well now. They're really easy to get up and get started with. Like I said, if there's something that Azure doesn't do, and you're like, man, I wish Azure could do that. Well, it can. You probably just have to write a function to do it. And again, as somebody who's been a DBA for like the past, 12 years, getting my feet back into coding more is definitely fun. And I'm glad that I get to partner with customers to do that. Awesome. And like I said, I had a demo today that went really, really well. The customer was actually pretty impressed. They didn't even know that this was a thing that was possible. So I'm solving people's problems, which is always good.
Yeah. Woo. Yeah. Azure Functions can be. Yeah, we're not really using them right now, but like we have in the past, because like an Azure function can be anything from like, hey, like I need a quick like microservice that you can expose to the internet and use it. And like I've used Azure Function I think the same kind of way that you have is kind of just glue. It's like if you needed to like copy some stuff, run in blob storage, or pull something down off the internet and do something with it, like it's kind of just a really great place to fire off just automation inside of Azure, which is where I've used them before.
Right.
It's just kind of as glue for other services inside. So yeah, it's they're super handy. Yeah.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed working with them. If you haven't checked them out on your own yet, you definitely should. I think that if you're going to continue to use Azure and whatever the equivalent in AWS is, they're pretty powerful stuff. Don't be afraid to get in there and try hacking one together.
Yeah, and they support lots of different languages now. Wow.
They do.
Yeah, Node, PowerShell. Yeah, I knew about PowerShell because that's what I've used in the past.
Yeah, I know how much you like Node.
I do like JavaScript and Java, meh. Python, I just can't get into Python. I can't do it. I don't know.
I've had to write a lot of it recently, so I'm kind of into it.
Yeah. Microsoft seems to be making a lot of it these days. So.
Yeah, we like open source. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah. I don't know Python. Sorry, something about white space that matters just kind of makes me want to throw up in my mouth. But
I get it.
A lot of people like it, so I'm the weird one apparently.
Yeah, tabs as a service.
Yeah. Gross.
All right. Well, anyway, that's enough. That's enough nerd stuff. Let's talk about where people can find us and wrap this up.
Yeah, let's do that. you can find this show on the internet at doingtheirbest.com. You can send us an email from there or directly to contact@doingtheirbest.com. The show is on the Twitters at doingbestpod. You can reach me on Twitter at Paul Baylor. That's BAHLER. And where can we find you, Drew?
I'm on Twitter at PITTFURG. That is Pitfurge. So
yeah, you are.
I know that we've gotten some questions recently for the doc. I don't know if you checked the email in a while, but I know people had reached out for stuff on Twitter, so we're gonna have to get that probably talked about next time.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
That could be a big topic. Yeah.
It could be. That could be a really long topic because boy, is that a story. That's a teaser.
It is a story.
All right. All right, everybody. Till next time.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. Bye.